everyone. We have a game with the black pieces against Pablo Contreras Ortega, rated 951. We're going to try to get a Caro Kann as he plays bishop c4, walking into d5. This is the Hillbilly attack when they put their bishop right here. Of course, we're forced to recapture it in the center, attacking the bishop, so he retreats. We're going to develop a piece towards the center. We know the knight wants to go here, so let's get it out of the way. And see what white does. We want to develop our minor pieces, potentially look for forcing moves, and close down the pawn chain. e5 is a move you could play if you're willing to just blow up the center, because this d pawn doesn't really have support, and if he tries to break down your center, it's just going to disappear, which is another way to play. So he moves the same piece again for no reason. It does come with a pin, but not a threatening one. So I want to continue developing towards the center. I know my knight wants to be here. Let's get it out of the way. And so, if he just brings his knight out, we could just bring our bishop out and develop. That looks normal. Yeah, and everything looks very nice for us. So he develops his queen. This doesn't threaten anything. It's a weird square for the queen. I'm more and more inclined to play e5 now, as opposed to e6. So I'm going to play in the center. I'm going to put two pawns. Now if he does try to challenge me, at least e4 comes with tempo, which means he doesn't get to play c4 right away, giving me more time to maybe consolidate the center or do something forcing. So now we have two knights and two pawns. Beautiful center, beautiful position. White develops his knight to its only real square, preparing castling. We could develop with tempo, but maybe keep that in our pocket for now, as it doesn't immediately win anything. So in that case, let's try to develop our other bishop so we can castle. You could put it here, preparing, a future e4. You could put it here, but maybe you're walking into stuff. Which square? I think I just want to go to d6 for the time being. Aim at where his king would be once he castles, and I play e4. You can't really harass the bishop on this square, whereas on c5 it was a lot closer to his pawns. He could play c3. So now he's moving the bishop again for no reason. Back and forth, back and forth. I mean, his reason is he's attacking this pawn, but that's crazy. It unpins the knight. It allows for moves like this, but his knight is here. You could attack the queen first, discoordinating his pieces, gaining the move back. So that's a potential move. You could develop and defend, but I don't really want my bishop there. I'd rather have it more active. If you just castle and he goes pawn hunting, I wonder if he can actually do that. Let's say you take and take. He has no threats. You immediately can develop with tempo. His king's in the middle. I mean, I'm sure that's a thing. But let's just go e4 first because it's a free move. It stops all of his ideas. It opens up a square for our pieces. And then we can just castle after that. And we don't have to calculate a line where we give up a pawn. At any moment, this bishop can come to one of these squares. And he still hasn't developed these pieces. He should, in the future, try to break down my pawn structure with his pawns. I don't know if it's going to work, but that's not it. He proposes a take back. I give it to him because he just hung his queen. So we give him the move back. And he corrects his mistake. He's looking at my knights. Maybe he's preventing this for one turn. It does walk into an improving move for free, supported by the knight. We could throw that in, but then if he goes here, you're giving up once. Like, it's just a weird thing. Castling looks legit, so let's do that. Now that our king is safe, we can do more fun stuff without worrying about our king. Our position looks great. Even our unmoved bishop is still developed. And if he castles, that could be potentially bad. Takes, check, back, queen out, knight here, check here. We'll see. So he plays f3 instead of castling. This tries to break down our pawn construction, but with the wrong pawn. I mean, you could have done the exact same thing with the d pawn and at least opened your bishop up. This doesn't open up your bishop, it opens up your king, which doesn't move like a bishop, so that doesn't make sense. So that weakens the dark squares, allowing us access to better possibilities on the dark squares. Also, his king is still in the middle, which doesn't bode well for him because we can go rook e8, staring directly at that king. And so that's what I'm going to play, a developing move towards the center, taking advantage of his lack of king safety. At any moment, we can open up the position directly towards the king. At any moment, we're looking at pushing this with the knight support once these pieces aren't coordinating. And that's about it. Our pieces all look nice. Once we take here, we'll be able to bring our bishop out somewhere. Well, for example, if we take here, he doesn't want to take with the pawn and ruin his structure. He's not close to castle and queen side, so his king has nowhere to go. So he's going to want to take with the queen, and then when you develop for free, he has the knight hanging. So instead he keeps everything closed, which is an idea, but also not a very good one. As the pawn is now a target, he's helping me create a potential pass pawn in the center by bypassing, and he just gave up control of these squares, so my knight and my bishop can both hop there. So, you know, it's like trying to fix one problem, but you have so many more. So we could immediately hunt the pawn, or we can try to use the light square. He probably wants the castle next. If you put a bishop here, it pressures the knight, denying that possibility. Let's do this. A, to develop a piece, our last minor piece. B, to prevent castling, and C, so we can take the knight. Why do we want to take the knight? Because it controls this square. Once we take the knight, we can push, because the knight's preventing us from pushing. And once we have these two pawns side by side, sure, it opens up his bishop, but tempos the queen, and these pawns are extremely strong. Of course, we don't necessarily want to rush. We could take our time. Also, this knight is defending this pawn, so after you take the knight, we can take the pawn, right? So he moves the knight, trying to blockade so we don't have any of those ideas. What does it threaten? Well, it threatens the knight, and then maybe he wants to try to win a pawn. The downside is he's hanging this pawn. I imagine even e3 is a clever move. Very, very interesting move. He can't take with the queen. If he just castles, let's say, you can hop your knight in here with just crazy threats. If he takes, I mean, you could even take here. You could also hop your knight in. That all looks good, but if I take here first, and then I just snatch this pawn, let's say, I mean, that's also a clean pawn. So many good moves, I don't know what to make. Also, his queen is almost trapped. So if I go here, he has to defend the knight still. Do I have something fun there? Maybe not. So which one do I want to do? The dynamic e3 or just win the pawn? I'm going to go for the dynamic e3. Because his king's in the center, he still has not castled. So he does take, which is what I expected. So we could take this, we could hop this in, we might have other moves. But if we immediately hit the queen, and he takes our knight, we get a queen, he gets a queen. We get a knight. Yeah, I don't know if I like that. And if takes, queen takes, I mean, I could throw a rook on c1, or I could just ignore him completely. And what else do I have? Oh my god, Jesus. Can I do this? I was looking at all of my cool possibilities, and I completely ignored. Holy moly. So what was the position? Oh yeah, because he takes this way, which uncovers what's the drawback of the move. I didn't go through that questioning process. If I did that, I would have immediately said undefends these two squares. My brain would have immediately seen this pin, and that's why. What is the threat? What is the drawback? That's why it's a thing. So he hangs the queen and then resigns. Okay. So good thing we saw that, so we didn't have to finish the game. But that's why I take my time. I'd like to go through my options. And that's why even 10-minute games are way too fast. So we try to get a Caro Kann on the board. Center and development in a weird way. This is the Hillbilly attack. Center and development. Force move. Development and center. Development and center. Center and development. Development and center. And I'm not up anything, and it's -4. Completely crushing position, and it's all because of center and development. And you may not think like, oh, how's this winning? You didn't even get to his side of the board yet, but it is, and now you know. -4. You're too well developed. He can't put his pieces on any of these squares, and you're gonna have threats like I had in the game. So now a free move, a free improving move with prophylaxis, king safety, and development. Oh wow, you could even go here now. I'm curious as to the line. If when he takes with the knight, you take, he takes, and what do you do with the dark squares? Oh, you could do this. Interesting, winning the queen. Okay, well in light of that, yeah. Okay, but it's still -6, so it doesn't really matter. We develop a piece towards the center, as we have been doing every other move. And now we develop a piece influencing center. And now E3. They love it. Nice. Knight H5, just attacking the pawn. But that's not cool. That's not nearly cool. As cool as E3. Which they also love, -6.2. And you can just see all the dynamics. If you can get a knight here, just opening up the rook. He tried to push past it to keep everything closed, but just pitching the pawn saying, hey, it's going to open up and my pieces are going to flood in. I wasn't even paying attention to this idea, but because I was too focused on the free stuff here, the cool knight move, but of course and obviously you do this. And that's game. Got a perfect game, 96%er. And it was just by bringing pieces to the center, move by move, with a couple of forcing moves in there. Very simple, very logical. If you watch the video a couple times, you'll see how center focused and even verbally everything made sense. So submit your rapid games in my Discord. Good luck into your chess games, and goodbye.